Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Welcome to I'm Savannah.
I'm Zach. Hi.
Hi. Happy.
Day.
I can't remember what day it is, but that's fine.
It's cold.
It is
outside
cold.
Again.
It's always cold
It was
here.
warm yesterday.
It's a constant. Why do I live here?
Try to figure out what actual day it is then. Reverse engineer the calendar.
Well, what are we talking about today?
We are going to what I'm calling this episode Zillow / Redfin / apartments.com explained.
Okay, I like that. Explained.
Yeah. As though it was like a giant rainbow over my head. Explained.
Imagination. Explained. Okay.
Okay.
So I guess, Zach, why don't you kick us off with what exactly are we explaining when it comes to these sites?
So I think, and I had this idea, that I thought it was important that clients and the general public, I'm doing like a PSA today, people, understand what actually happens when they go on to these larger listing sites, which is like what we call them, but like essentially places where you locate homes or apartments. What actually happens when you go on them and you're searching for your future home or your future apartment? Like, how is it that you get connected with people? Like, why is it that you see the listings that you do? And essentially, like, how that is the marketplace, but it's not the entire marketplace, like, as a whole.
So explain to me then, if I go onto Redfin and I see a home for sale and I click on the home that I'm interested in, that's fine, nothing happens. But then what happens if I click, I would like to tour this home?
So, like, huge thing. So you go on Redfin, right? Like, you now, like, have found a home that you want to view. You click that you want to go see it. So it ends up happening 90% of the time, because we're in the state of Illinois and we're in Chicago. We've already kind of talked about this in like a previous episode, but like there's a buyer's agent, there's a seller's agent. The seller's agent is the person who has marketed the home. The seller's agent has marketed the home, so they put it on what we call the MLS, the multiple listing service. That then syndicates all of its listings to Redfin, Zillow,
Trulia,
yeah, all that kind of stuff.
Realtor.com.
Right? But when you go on Redfin or Zillow, for either case, what ends up happening is you're not being connected with that seller's agent, and rightfully so, because at the end of the day, the seller's agent has the best interest of the seller at heart. And so you're being connected with a local buyer's agent.
Yes.
Now, on that end, the local buyer's agent has essentially bought in to represent buyers in a specific zip code, usually.
Yes.
Within that city or neighborhood or that region.
Yes.
And because of that, you're being connected specifically with them.
So, yes. So let me give an example for anyone who maybe lost us. So if Zach and I want to buy together a zip code in Chicago, 60657, that's Lakeview, my zip code. We go and say, okay, we're going to pay, which, by the way, you can't buy it because everybody wants to live in Lakeview and it's way overbought. It's expensive to buy there because it's very popular. 60657, that entire realm, Zach and I are going to pay $4,000 to buy into that zip code. So that means that Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com, all of those places are going to send us leads whenever they come in. So if you click that you want to tour a home in Lakeview on Zillow or Realtor.com, we get that potential lead because we've paid for it essentially.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. We bought a portion of the listings or of the buyers that are potentially on their website and stuff like that.
Yes.
And that usually makes up most brokerages like a little part of their business, and it helps them connect with buyers and all of that.
Yeah.
But I guess what I'm trying to get at with that is essentially at the bottom of like the screen, usually on Zillow or on Redfin, there's like a couple different agents that you can like choose from, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you can either choose to directly work with someone that's on there because it like shows them, or when you usually just end up clicking like I want a tour on this date, what it's going to end up happening is it's going to end up connecting you with one of those people.
Yes.
I guess like the biggest thing that's kind of interesting is that in a lot of cases, we kind of talked about in previous episode, getting to know your realtor, like getting to know like your agent kind of thing, and like selecting them based on, you know, just how you get along, because it's ultimately a professional conversation, like a professional business arrangement to help you buy a home. You don't necessarily get to pick your agent when
you do this.
When there's an algorithm within Zillow and Redfin that kind of connects the buyer together based on you clicking a button.
Yes.
So just kind of like be aware of that you're like essentially, as soon as you click that button, are probably going to get a phone call or an email or a text, like however you've chosen to be contacted. And
it could be some random person.
Happen really, really quick.
Yep. On top of it, you're probably going to get calls, emails, texts from lenders. People who are, anybody that is in the mortgage like business, the real estate business, the insurance business that is paid for advertisements and to get leads this way, you're probably going to be reached out to by them.
This is why Zillow and Redfin are like such massive companies, is like the revenue stream that gets paid in to buy leads essentially is way bigger than necessarily like the actual like the client side, like the consumer side that like views it on a daily basis from their phone kind of thing. But yeah, I just thought that was kind of like an interesting thing that I don't think a lot of clients know or figure out until we initially interact with them, because they're like scrolling, you know, they're sitting back in their bed, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I'm looking at like homes now because I'm like somewhat interested. And they click like, oh, I'm like interested in this one. And then like 5 minutes later, they're getting a phone call,
an email, a text message
from like an agent at like 9:30
a pigeon
at night.
Carrier.
Like
because we want to reach you and be your realtor, but it's not personalized. But at the end of the day, it does kind of show us too in this job that like there are a lot of people that don't have a particular person that they go out to for their real estate needs or their lending needs or their insurance needs, because you aren't going to click that if you already have a realtor. You would just text your realtor and say, hey, I saw this listing on Zillow, I want to go view it.
Yeah, it's like the like share button instead. You're like,
or I always tell my clients too, like, you can do that if you want, but you can also just send me a massive email with like everything you want to see, and I'm happy to just get it all arranged. But yeah, not personalized, but not necessarily bad.
No, it's not bad at all, because like if you don't know a realtor, if you don't have like a connection to a realtor, then it definitely helps connect you with someone who will represent you on the buyer side
and knows that area, because they're not going to be buying money into an area that they don't know. Because and I would never do that. I'm not going to go add a space in an area that I literally know nothing about, because then when someone says I want to live here, I don't want to look dumb.
I don't, like I have never bought into, what's the suburb that's like super far away?
Springfield, Illinois.
Yeah, I've never bought into Springfield, Illinois. You know why? I don't want to drive 3 hours to go show you a home in Springfield, Illinois. It's also not a suburb. It's our capital. I mean, I'm sure it's a great place. I've been there on a train.
I've been there for a field trip with my students previously. Yeah, it's got a lot. Abe Lincoln.
I'm sure you learned a lot.
I did learn a lot.
But
really
cool.
But
I
I'm not
don't
buying
subscribe
ads there.
there.
No.
Yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of like talk about that on like the buying side, and I think that's really cool. But I think the one thing I want to kind of jump into now, before we kind of jump into like the not every option and like how the paid ad kind of thing works even more, is I want to kind of talk about like apartments.com on like the rental side, because we do a lot of that too.
It's true. So well, that's a little bit, it's not as bad, like not bad, I'm sorry, it's not as invasive, I feel like, as Zillow and Redfin is, because you don't buy into apartments like you do apartments.com, like you do Zillow. You can, but it doesn't make as much sense financially, and it doesn't really make sense. It just doesn't make sense. I don't think personally, but we post ads on apartments.com as real estate agents who do leasing and they want to help rent apartments out. As long as apartments.com allows us to post the building on there, we're able to post ads for it.
So like, but I guess like the interesting thing about like apartments.com, which is a little bit different from like, say, the Zillow, Redfin, like sales side of the business, is though that apartments.com is like this overarching like large site, like just like in their ads, like apartment for the world kind of thing, whatever. Jeff Goldblum, god damn it, he's amazing. Jurassic Park, I mean, come on, he's completely shifted career past people.
He is such a cool dude.
Anyways,
he is.
I hope to be that cool when I'm 60 years old or something.
Was not expecting Jeff to come up today, but
I
that's
know,
cool.
right? I mean, he's got a solid thing going for the past 10 years now. Anyways, but like apartments.com is like this overarching like site. But then it's got all these little mini sites like underneath it that it like syndicates to. So like whether you realize it or not, apartments.com has different filters that filter down to like different sites like Trulia and For Rent and Hot Pads and all these other little sites and stuff. Yeah, so it's just realize that when you're going to apartments.com and you keep seeing the same listings over and over again, it's also because when you've gone to all these other sites, the same exact ads, like they're all in the same bucket.
Yes.
But then the other thing I think that's interesting about like apartments.com and all those sites is that they're all built on paid ads, same thing as like Zillow and Redfin, but even more so because the way that those sites truly make money is not by the one-off like landlord or property management or even us posting individual ads for apartments and listings that we have, but they're paid by like these more massive buildings that are luxury buildings that have like tons of rental listings, right? Like thousands, like in the marketing like hundreds.
Budget.
So when you're like on apartments, I could imagine, because I've been there, done that, like in the past, where you're like scrolling through and you're like, keep on seeing the same like 7 different apartments in this area. Like I know that there's more apartments in this area, and then you finally find them, but you have to like scroll to like the 20th page of like listings kind of thing.
Yeah.
You feel like you're going down like the whole, like...
Oddly enough, when I was looking for my apartment in 2017, that was when I first rented one on my own, I did not go on apartments.com. I didn't even know it existed. I went on Trulia. I don't know why. I never heard of it till I started this job actually, which is super weird. Whatever. I mean, it is what it is.
But I guess the one thing I'm getting with in that is that apartments.com, like when you're looking at all those options, you're not necessarily seeing every option that's out there on the marketplace for apartments.
No, because not every building can be posted onto that site either. And apartments.com has to syndicate to different buildings that have allowed posting to happen there. So if someone privately owns a building and they haven't allowed apartments.com to list it for them, you can't post it on there. So that's why apartments.com is not your go-to for any kind of rental, because not everything is on there. Or Zillow or Trulia. Like that's why I feel like we keep boosting ourselves, but still, not everything that you can rent is going to be on those sites.
Not on purpose.
And no, not on purpose sometimes, but
good. But to that point, there's other listings that are out there. Biggest thing is when you reach out about an apartment on apartments.com or about a home on Zillow or Redfin, there's more options out there than necessarily what you're always seeing in that market. There's the private market, there's stuff that realtors individually keep in their own pockets and stuff like that they have listings for. Good stuff to definitely reach out to a realtor about, and always ask if they have more listings in general.
For sure.
Because they do, it's very unlikely that a realtor in this business who is successfully doing their job only has one listing, and that one listing alone
on apartments.com.
On apartments.com. So like I know that it is usually key, and I run into a lot of people about this that like want to command their own search, like be their own general kind of thing. Army of one, but everyone can use some help, so it doesn't necessarily have to be me. If you don't like me, you can always hang out with Savannah or some other rando on apartments.com or Zillow or Redfin, and they'll help you find something. But there's more options out there.
But that's it. I mean, we want to talk about syndication and what you're doing when you go on there and you're searching for apartments for rent or for homes for sale. This is what kind of happens on the back end of it all. So,
and why you get connected with
18 different people.
Yeah, with the 18 different people, or the one random person that you end up getting connected with, and why you keep on seeing their face at the bottom of every ad, even though it's not really their listing.
Yeah. But thanks for listening.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. This has been an episode of Between
Two
Realtors.
I'm Savannah.
I'm Zach.
You should definitely subscribe.
There.
There.
Oh, I have to do a plug. Brand new website for Pioneer Realty Group coming soon to a neighborhood near you.
We have a dog page. You can look at all of our office dogs.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
They're super cute. Ooh. My dog's on there. Her name's Molly. She has red hair like her mother.
Look up Theo.
Theo's
Giant Bernedoodle.
He's humongous. He's a monster.
75 pounds of fluffing joy, people.
Subscribe. Come visit us.
Yeah. Bye.
Thanks.